Welcome to another interesting episode of the Reflection series, where we share stories that recharge and rejuvenate us. And like always, today also we have a very special guest speaker, Angie. Angie has a background in adult education, management training, and program development with a keen interest in meditation. And I know she has been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for a very long time. And the title for today's story is Overcome Everything. And as Angie says, the game of life has a way of throwing challenges just when you think you have it won. These tests are so called because they test one's ability to remain happy and stable in the face of adversity. Is there a magic formula to apply to all challenges to ensure victory and success every single time? Maybe Angie will let us know today. So without any further ado, a very hearty, warm welcome, Angie. And it's over to you to share your story. Welcome.
Thank you, Lata, for the introduction, and very lovely to be with you all today. And as Lata has mentioned, the topic for today is overcome everything. And I'm sure you're thinking that's a very big statement to make, that it's possible to overcome everything. So I'm going to share a little story with you, and this story is actually part of my story. And after we have the story, I'm going to share a little formula with you that is to do with overcoming everything. And I must say, it's a formula that I've been using for many years now, and it's proven itself to me. But let's see what you think. So I always wanted to be, Lata mentioned that I'm an adult teacher, and I always wanted to be an adult teacher. And it was something that a light that burned very brightly for me. I attained the qualifications, but I seem to be stuck in management roles, and I'd been in management roles for many, many years, and I seem to be stuck on that management path. And I really found that I wasn't able to break into adult teaching that I really, really so wanted to do. I'd been exploring spirituality, and I made a decision, or once I decided that spirituality was very important to me, and that I was really going to devote my time and energy to developing my spirituality. It was very interesting, because once I made that decision and I started to do it, then actually teaching opportunities started to open up for me. In my workplace, there was actually a job created for me, which was pretty amazing. And that meant that I could finally move from management into full-time teaching, which was the thing that I'd wanted to do for so long. The job that had been created also, as that role developed, it also presented opportunities to start writing teaching programs and to develop training and assessment strategies. So I was actually able to incorporate many of the skills that I'd used in management into this teaching role. So everything was working very nicely. I was teaching for the Brahma Kumaris as well. And so really, it was like my dream had come true and life was very sweet. But then about 12 years ago, something happened, and this thing really came to test me on every level, and certainly to test my spiritual strength. So what happened was I became profoundly and permanently deaf. So, and of course, with that deafness, that had major implications for teaching, for ongoing teaching, and which was such an important and integral part of my life. Now, I'm a pretty determined person, and when I realised that what I was dealing with was permanent, I had to work out a way to come to terms with that and to move forward, because giving up teaching was never going to be an option. It was just too precious. So firstly, on a practical level, I sought advice and I did some research, and a lot of research. And I invested in the very best adaptive technology that was available, which certainly helped with my hearing to an extent. However, nothing replaces natural hearing. So it was useful and continues to be useful, but not the same as actually being able to hear properly. So on an emotional level and a spiritual level, I also had to come to terms with this, and I won't pretend that it wasn't a blow, because it really was. It would have been really easy to spend a lot of time blaming genetics, so, physical DNA from parents, blaming the environment, or blaming childhood illnesses. But I realised that if I did that, if I spent time on all those things, it just made me a victim, and a powerless victim at that. So the decision I came to was, I decided that I was going to use this deafness as a really powerful tool to propel my spiritual journey forward, so to propel me forward spiritually. And spirituality really helped me to realize and understand that all of these things, the genetics, the environment, the childhood illnesses, had all been a factor in the deafness. However, the responsibility for the deafness, the karmic responsibility, lay with me. And that's never a very comfortable thing to come to terms with. So with that realization, another thing that I realized was that it was also going to be an absolute waste of time to beat myself up about the things that I'd done, that I could remember that I'd done, but also the things, if you subscribe to the notion that we reincarnate, that we live more than just this one life, that maybe things that have added to this current situation from previous lives. So that, of course, aren't in conscious memory. So there was absolutely no mileage in beating myself up, but rather let me accept the situation. It is what it is, and let me get on with it. So, and if I'm able to accept the situation and move forward with it with optimism and positivity, then it's going to lighten the karmic load. If I waste time having regret or anger at myself, or resentfulness or feeling poor me, actually I'm just adding more negativity onto what's already a challenging situation. So much better to be optimistic and positive and move forward in that way to lighten that karmic load, start to bring things back into balance gradually. Another thing that really helped when I was making these decisions was to know that I'm a spiritual being, and knowing that that I wear this physical body a bit like a costume. And you could say that I, the spiritual being, am wearing this costume of the body and playing my part on the stage of the world. And while the physical hearing is poor, what I found started to happen, I started to develop my spiritual ear. And this meant in doing this that I was able to start listening to myself and really hearing myself. And that started to reveal secrets that are deep inside of me. I was also able to start listening to others on a deeper level, not just what they were saying, but the intent and the feelings that were behind the words that they were speaking. And what I found and continue to find is that really helped me to get to know people very well on a much more enduring level, I guess I could say. So hearing loss is a daily challenge, actually, and I've actually retired from the workforce now, but I still continue to teach for the Brahma Kumaris, and I spend most of my time volunteering at the retreat centre. And part of that volunteering role is that I help on the reception desk. I'm part of our reception team. And if you can picture a reception desk at a retreat centre, that the reception desk tends to be a very busy place. There's lots of people moving through. There's lots of background noise. And for anybody who has experienced hearing loss or knows someone who has, you'll know that background noise is a real enemy when you can't hear properly, because it cancels out what's right in front of you. The person speaking right in front, you can't hear them. So you can imagine that that's a challenge. And another thing on reception that's really a challenge is phone calls, because I actually lip read. And so, of course, on a phone call, you can't do that. So that's the first bit that makes it difficult to hear. But the second part that often makes it more challenging is very often people who are calling have an accent. And so that makes it doubly difficult for me to hear. So opportunities actually exist every single day to observe myself and my reactions. And this really is helpful in two ways. Firstly, it lets me see where I'm progressing spiritually. So, for example, if I find that when there's these challenges, if I'm remaining calm and stable in those situations, that's a real indicator that their spiritual progress, and that's a very positive thing. But I'll be honest and say that it's not always like that, that sometimes I get frustrated with myself, not with the other people, but with myself, when I can't hear properly, when I can't help them as well as I want to help them. And so when that frustration, because of course that frustration is a reaction. So when that frustration comes, I find myself actively practicing spiritual strengths, spiritual virtues, in order to deal with the situation. Things like patience, tolerance, even cheerfulness really help to overcome in the moment, in the situation. But another aspect of spirituality is not when we're in action, but it's the time when we're not in action. And I use my reflective time very well. And actually, deafness is an absolute gift when I want quietness, because it's easy to turn off the external noise. It's already low. And that allows me to really focus on the internal noise, which of course is thoughts, and to focus my attention on quietening thoughts. And I can come to that sweet space of silence. And this is meditation. So when I'm here, I'm able to listen to myself, I'm able to reflect, and I'm able to take that shortfall that I've noticed, for example, the frustration that I might have seen when I was in action. I'm able to take that into my reflection and to contemplate, because of course it's not something I want to keep. It's something that I want to transform for something better. And not just in the moment, but permanently transform. So often the conversation, the reflective conversation that I find myself having in meditation involves God. And I really see God as my helper. Helping in what? Really helping to make me a better me. So that was a story that I wanted to share with you, and I promised you a formula. So let me tell you this formula. There's 5 steps. It's very straightforward, and it's a formula for overcoming everything. So the first one is to detach and observe, and I can do that really effectively. So what am I detaching and observing? I'm detaching from the situation and also my part in that situation. So to do that, knowing that I'm a spiritual being, playing my part, wearing the costume of the body and playing my part in the world, that makes it so much easier to step back and observe the situation and how I am in the situation, how I'm reacting. The second is to take responsibility, but without burden of responsibility, because if I feel burdened, I feel weighed down. I do what I need to do in the situation, but I also take responsibility for myself. So thirdly, in taking charge of myself, I'll appreciate what the situation is showing me of myself, and that's my reactions. Reactions are things we can't control. They're sort of an automatic thing. So I'm noticing my reactions, and if they're positive, if I'm finding that I am stable and cheerful and calm in the situation, then that's cause for celebration. But if there's shortfalls like frustration, then I'm also noticing that and taking immediate steps to deal with it. But then it moves me to point 4, that I spend time in reflection and meditation and take that shortfall with me because this is the thing that I want to work on. This is the thing that I want to transform and change on a permanent basis, so that the more I do that, the more it will not come to me. So it's not just fixing it as it happens, but it's fixing it so that it will stop happening. And it really works. But in that meditation and reflection, the fifth step is taking help from the higher being, because that help's available. But there's just one thing to know there, and I find it's important for myself to remember that this help's available, but the Supreme's very respectful of me, and he won't come uninvited. So actually I have to request his presence and his help, and then that help and presence is there for me. And it's like a supercharged power that helps me achieve those things that I wish to achieve. And the more I do all these things, the better equipped I am the next time it happens. And actually, over time, you find that there's nothing that we can't overcome. So that was a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you. And Lata, over to you if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah. What an inspiring story that was, Angie. Very, very beautiful. I really loved how you put it, the words that you used, that challenge was, you took it as a gift. And I would say that that's not easy to do at the first instance. But then when you work on it, and as you said, you looked into the possibilities of what you wanted to do and how could you do that in spite of the challenge you had. And then, you have made it a gift and made things possible. So really, really inspiring. And the little magic formula that you shared is also very beautiful. I'm sure that could be applied to a lot of situations.
Yeah, I must say, Lata, I find every day it's something, because there's never a day without some sort of challenge, be it a big one or a small one. So every day I find that this is a formula that works. I've just got to remember to do it. And that's the thing. When you forget, then, I'll be affected. But as soon as I remember this, it really transforms everything. And you're right, it feels like the challenges come as a gift, because I can never, I said before that I was using this particular challenge to propel me forward. Unless I get a test, I can never know how well I'm doing. So spiritually speaking, you could say that these challenges are just like a gift, because they're showing me something and they give me that chance to test my skills, if you like.
Yeah. And also that you shared, like one I picked was the word remember. You have to be aware and remember what needs to be done. Otherwise, it's easy to slip back into the usual way of thinking, if I can say.
Mm.
And you also use the word supercharged power. And he is the one. So maybe if you could share how your experience has been connecting with him, and then also lead us into a commentary after that.
Lovely. Yes, pleased to do that. Thank you, Lata. So, when we speak of this higher being as a supercharged power, I guess when I think of all the goodness that exists in myself and each one of us, that the supreme or the higher power, the higher being, is one that has all those qualities of goodness that I have, but in an unlimited supply. So where mine might be lacking in any given time, in any given situation, if I'm calling on that help and the presence of that one, then I have access to an unlimited supply of what I want, which might be strength, it might be courage, it might be patience, it might be peace, it might be love. So in bringing the higher being into the equation, it's like I'm plugging into a superpower power socket, if you like, that all that power becomes available to me. And really my experience over time is it's like that strength that comes from the Supreme helps me when I'm not feeling so strong, because there are times when we're not at our best, and it really helps me to navigate those times when maybe I'm not, for whatever reason, I'm not at my best.
Yeah. Thank you, Angie. And if we can request you to lead our viewers into a meditation experience through a commentary. So that would be lovely.
So firstly, I allow myself to relax. I allow the physical body to become relaxed, to become loose. I imagine all the tension and all the tightness just flowing away, and the body feels completely loose, completely free. I turn my attention to my mind, and I take a moment to observe the state of my mind. I can relax my mind, and I think one relaxing thought. I am a being of peace. I allow myself just to think this thought. I am a being of peace. And I notice as I think this, I start to feel it. My thoughts cooperate to make me feel calm and peaceful, inside and out. And I'm aware of myself, the spiritual self. When I sit quietly with myself like this, it opens up an inner world of sweet silence. And this space within myself feels so very good. Here, I'm in connection with my own deepest quality of peace. I can access the goodness that exists deep inside. There's wisdom, there's love, there's joy here. There's also strength. I'm able to tap into my own spiritual power to create the positive changes I wish in myself and in my life. And in this peaceful space, I have access and connection is possible to the highest of all spiritual beings. I turn my attention to this one with the understanding that I have every right. Actually, I'm a child of this higher being, And as a child, I have every right. And my parent is available to me to help with my quest for self-change. My parent has an unlimited supply of whatever it is that I need. Strength, peace, wisdom, purity, and most of all, love. As a parent naturally has love for their child, my spiritual parent is a source of unlimited love. And his attention is on me, his child, pouring that love into me, pouring that strength into me, and supercharging my own efforts for transformation. And I do see practical change in myself and in my life. There is nothing that I cannot achieve. There is no challenge that I cannot overcome. I make a promise to myself to come to this quiet space often, spend time with my Supreme Parent, and notice the positive changes in myself and in my life. And as I prepare to return my attention to the physical world, I bring this awareness with me. I hold it in my heart.
Thank you, Angie, for that beautiful experience. And I would also like to thank our viewers for joining today. And we're sure you will use and apply the magic formula that we have learned in all situations or tests, such that they become gifts. And also keep this beautiful experience with yourself to experience that power again and again. So thank you very much for joining. And if you would like to know more about us, please do visit our website, www.brahmakumaris.org.au. All the various programs and addresses of the local centers are listed on there. So you are welcome to visit. So thank you once again, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time with another interesting episode. So till then, take care. Om Shanti.